I have a great topic today talking about a seabed loan from DBED. And we have our guest speaker, Mark Ritchie, that will be talking about that. But before we get into Mark's presentation, again, just want to welcome everybody. I'm kind of looking at our list of people and just wanted to say aloha to a lot of the people that that we know and some of our new folks joining the call today. Part of this monthly call is to really talk with everyone to understand some of the challenges. I know that we're heading out of the pandemic and we're kind of like in this state right now that the numbers don't look good, and we're kind of going in the opposite direction. But part of this is to get feedback from you guys, right? On some of the things that maybe Innovate Hawaii and our partners at UH and DBED can help with. So I just wanted to take maybe a few minutes. If anybody on the call, if you're a manufacturer or a partner, before we get into some of our agenda topics, if they wanted to share some concerns or share some ideas of things we could do to help the manufacturing industry of Hawaii. So I'll turn it on. You can unmute yourself. But anybody want to share anything? Because this is the main purpose of the meeting is to actually really hear from you as manufacturers. So anybody want to share anything? I see some people on the list I know, and maybe I can pick on some folks. If nobody, I see one hand. John Paul. Hopefully I'm saying it right.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, thanks for joining.
Yeah, my name is Jean Paul Gideon from JPEG Hawaii. We're a sign manufacturer, and we also manufacture custom branded hand sanitizer stations. So a lot of graphic work, flat boards, 3D sign lettering. It's my first time on the call, and I want to hear everything going on. But yeah, I mean, there's a shortage of materials like that we have, like wood and metal. It's a real shortage and supply chain problem. So I'd like to hear what everyone else is doing to solve that.
Yeah. Thanks, John Paul. Yeah, there's shortages. I know that that we luckily I think we don't have the backup that LA is seeing in some of their ports, but getting material from point A to point B seems to be a challenge worldwide.
Right.
But anybody want to maybe follow up on what John Paul just shared about transportation or maybe supply chain? Anybody? All right. Well, at some point, we do want to hear back from you. And John Paul, thanks again for sharing. And maybe we can take this, as a topic for one of our future discussions of supply chain. So thank you for raising your hand and sharing. Yeah, Dirk, what's up? How's it going? Did you raise your hand, Dirk?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Hanging in there like everybody. How are you doing?
Well, business is coming back, so we're good. But with regards to the supply chain, we have major problems here on our side. We're getting some supplies from Italy and some supplies from the mainland, and it has been a nightmare because major ingredients, critical items are not coming, and we have to change recipes. We have to change cups and spoons and stuff like that. It has been very challenging getting the things what we usually were pretty easy and well-oiled machines. It has become problem. And then the pricing is a big issue. We see price increases up to 70% to some extent, and that's killing us. So because we cannot pass in all of those expenses to our customers, we will have to some extent. But it is become a challenge. I mean, after the COVID of no customers, after COVID with no employees, now we have no supplies.
Right. Is the no supply just because you aren't able, the containers aren't coming in, or is it just because your suppliers aren't able to manufacture?
The suppliers are not able, and the costs go up because shipping has become very limited.
Yes.
We have to discontinue certain flavors because we can no longer get in the supplies for it.
And majority, oh, okay. I think you mentioned a lot of stuff comes out of state or out of country and from continental US.
Yes, so we do get some things from Italy. We're getting some things from Germany. We're getting a lot of stuff also from the US mainland. And even there, major manufacturers have been challenged by either mergers and acquisitions, where major ingredient
Right.
companies are changing hands, and
Yes.
then their services has been kind of really breaking down.
Right.
So it's continued to be a big challenge here.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, we saw John Paul and his industry, and now Dirk kind of represents some of the food side. So I guess we're seeing this issue, regardless of what you manufacture, right?
Yeah.
High cost transportation and suppliers not being able to provide product.
Yeah.
So thank you, Dirk, for sharing. Also, Christy, I see your hand up as well. How are you?
Hi, I'm Christy with DNL Fashions. We manufacture apparel, Aloha wear mostly. Since tourists have been coming back or increasing, not near to levels that we were seeing before, but we are seeing a huge demand, and some of our employees are thinking about retirement, or and we're just not able to get some of the skill set back in or train new people for specific skill sets, and that's kind of an issue. We're looking into automating some of those skill sets, but the machinery is just so expensive, and again, the logistics and the supply shortage is difficult, and so
Right. Okay.
it's
No.
good, but it's still pretty stressful.
Yeah. When you talk about, shortage in labor, you're talking about, so I'm assuming there's skill sets, in fashion, where if it's, digital patterns, or if it's pattern cutting.
Yep.
Or sewing, are those kind of the top of the positions that you're referring to?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Okay,
Exactly.
good. Well, I think, again, we can take this offline, and we don't really necessarily have it on the agenda, but, Nicole Pfeiffer is our project engineer. She's, helping us kind of coordinate some of our workforce initiatives. And, I think we like to hear that. And I think we'd like to talk to you maybe a little bit more to figure out, how we can get some, maybe some community colleges involved and get some training. And this is something that, we've been struggling with for a while now, pre-pandemic, right? Is just in fashion. You guys have a big gap in skilled workers, and maybe like to talk to you maybe a little bit more, or anybody else on this call that's interested that's working in fashion, of how we can maybe fill that puka of skill gap. So thank you, Christy, for sharing. We hear the pain, right? So if you can help us maybe figure out some solutions, that would be awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else? Anybody from a neighbor island, not from Oahu? I know I see Tom Leonard out there. Calais, are you? I see your hand up, but yeah, let's hear from maybe some of the neighbor island folks if you guys are on this call, just to see.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Calais. How are you?
Hi. How's it going? So we run a small candy and confection company on Kauai called Kauai Sweet Shop, and yeah, the supply problems for us is pretty much in packaging materials. The only real way we found around it so far is we've had to change our packaging maybe 3 times in the last 2 months, which is tricky because then it's different sizing, different weights, got to print new labels for different sizes. And we're small, so I think, that's kind of helping. And the only other way around it was just, we've had to increase our inventory and just try and order as much as we can, just to, because one package runs out. And it's usually the manufacturers. Well, we're buying it from the mainland US, but I'm pretty sure they're getting it from China.
Right.
You know, so that's just kind of what we're running into. So when it does pop up, we're having to buy, you know, much larger quantities than we normally would go through. And then also because we're on Kauai, I think, you know, we only have one barge a week, I think, coming.
Yep.
And just recently, I guess one of the captains or somebody on the boat had COVID, so that whole shipment got delayed by a week.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
No.
So, I mean, that's kind of it. I think that's the only real way around it that we've been able to so far is just increasing stock and trying to be flexible.
Right, yeah, and in return, that adds more expense to you because you're buying
Yeah.
inventory for raw products that's going to sit there until you got to use it. So obviously, a lot more burden on you, and you know, tying up cash, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, we hear you. Thank you for sharing. I see
Thank you.
Becky from Anahola saying hi to everyone. Hi, Becky, you on?
Yep, I'm on. Thank you.
How are you? How's things going at Anahola?
Well, let's see what's going on. We also have been having a huge challenge with getting our raw goods in and just having them not be available on the mainland and, you know, for weeks on end. And so that's been super stressful. I mean, it's worse than ever. And for instance, we buy honey from Big Island Bees, which is great, but you know, we have a metal carrier that helps us extract that honey out of there. And our new non-GMO canola oil is now coming because of the metal shortage. It's coming in these plastic bins or big barrels, and so we had to get a brand new carrier that was able to adapt to the plastic. So it's just like stuff like that. And we also had packaging issues, kind of like, you know, you guys too, with, you know, just ran out of all the, we usually are watching it super carefully, but we brought in a new machine and we had to use all of this packaging to try to work out all the kinks. And the next thing we knew, we didn't have it available. So trying to get that in. And so it's definitely more challenging for sure at this time.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think what I'm getting at is, you know, I think packaging is a common theme. So maybe for our Innovate Hawaii team and our partners, maybe that's something that we can put on our notes of trying to see how we can maybe address some of the packaging issues. And I know for some of our neighbor island folks, it's a little bit more challenging just because you need that additional transportation cost. So something else that we can take a look at. But Becky, thank you for sharing. Appreciate. Anybody else on there? I also see Tom Leonard out there, and I know Tom always has input from folks on the Big Island. Tom, how you doing?
You know, I'm going to sound like a broken record on this because we're having the same issues.
Yep.
Particularly things like bottles that while we do have a local distribution here for smaller quantities, they're not able to get stuff, you know, they're buying containers in and they're still not able to get product from the mainland.
Right.
And on the staff shortage issue, there's some initiatives happening here from the Chamber of Commerce in Kona to try to understand this issue, but we really don't understand what's going on. We know for unskilled, a lot of people have left during the COVID, but we're still trying to figure out why people are not taking up the jobs that are there.
Right. No, I hear it. It's a common theme again, and you know, we're trying to figure out as well of how we can, you know, fix that problem. And you know, we've tried, and Nicole's been, you know, working with the chamber and trying to connect, you know, to manufacturers, and we have programs that provide online training, certificate training classes. Maybe Nicole can maybe share something, a link, or maybe talk about it when we get to e-commerce. But, you know, again, we need kind of your input of, you know, things that we can do to help maybe fill that gap, because we're doing what we can do, but obviously we need manufacturers to give us input so that we know that we're doing the right thing, right? Because we're trying our best, but we do need inputs from you guys. So yeah, Tom, thanks for sharing. All right. I don't see any more hands, but we can definitely share a little bit more, because all this conversation is really good stuff, and not to be selfish, but it does help us at Innovate Hawaii and our partners to figure out things that we can do to help you try and address some of these issues. So at this time, there's a couple updates on food safety and e-commerce. So I'm going to turn to Wayne Layugan, who's part of our Innovate Hawaii team, to give a quick update on our food safety program. So Wayne Layugan, to you.
Hi guys. Yeah, just a quick update because we do have some training coming up in September. Again, it's mainly for food manufacturers. We're doing the online FSMA preventive controls for human food again, and it's virtual. It's the 20-hour course is being split up 4 hours a day for 5 days. So hopefully it's a little bit more manageable instead of doing a Zoom for 8 hours straight. Yeah, if you'd like more info, let me know. I'll drop my email in the chat. And what we can also probably do is drop the Eventbrite link, so that way you guys can read all the info. And if you guys want to register or know someone that would be interested, you can send them the link and they can register for it. There are Department of Labor ETF training subsidies available. So companies who are interested, they want to send their staff, they would need to apply and then submit the application, and if approved, Department of Labor will cover up to 50% of the training costs. So it's a real good incentive to get your workers trained while there could be some possible downtime, or if you need the training. I know a lot of food companies are still looking to get into Costco, Whole Foods, Walmart. So a lot of those big companies are requiring,
Ich
they're
bin
sort
auf
of
dem Phone Call, Nicole, ja. Ich höre nichts.
Yep. So a lot of the big
Das
companies
normal?
are requiring that certificate for the food safety people doing their food safety plans. So I think that's about it. Other food related items would probably be not food safety related, but we do have a demo, a BakerBot demo at the Entrepreneur Sandbox. So if you'd like to learn more, we can send you that info also. I think that was it for me, Wayne.
Awesome. Yeah, Wayne Langan mentioned the BakerBot. It's super cool. I don't know if many of you saw when we had our last cobot, maybe pre-pandemic, at the Entrepreneur Sandbox, but this one is specifically for baking. We'll have it again at the Sandbox. There is also a coffee hour hosted by Hawaii Food Manufacturing Association, HFMA. So take a look on our Facebook page. It's pretty cool. We'll have it there for about a month. We'll have demos. Chung Lam is coordinating the efforts there. And I think, for some of you that are interested, you can bring product to see how a cobot will, move product from A to B, from a rack to a conveyor belt or whatever. But contact Wayne Layugan or Chung. Wayne, maybe if you can put I don't know if you can put the link to, or maybe somewhere post it to everybody can see the flyer, but it's going to be super cool. If you haven't seen a cobot in action, pretty cool. So thank you for sharing that. All right. Next, Nicole Pfeiffer will talk a little bit about our e-commerce program. And Nicole, maybe there's a chat from William Snyder about the community college program. I don't know if you want to maybe perhaps just touch on that, but yeah, you can start with the e-commerce. Sorry, if not, I can touch on the workforce thing later.
Well, in regards to the workforce, we do have our high school manufacturing cohort. We're going into our second cohort, and this time we're trying to expand it statewide. So if you're interested in participating, let me know. But basically, the students earn in certification for basically an entry-level manufacturing associate, and they take 25 online courses in different entry to manufacturing concepts, and then they'll take a certification exam at the end. And we do provide them with virtual field trips and guest speakers. So if you're interested in being, a virtual field trip or a guest speaker, please let me know. Or if you're interested also in hiring students out of high school. So I'll put in some more information into the chat about that.
All right,
But
thanks. Nicole.
yeah, so for our e-commerce program, we're currently hosting a series of webinars in partnership with Shopify. And our next webinar with them is actually tomorrow. It's going to be about all things shipping. And we also have another upcoming webinar about the Japanese third-party selling platform Rakuten. And we're planning additional webinars on various e-commerce and digital marketing topics. So if you want to sign up for our upcoming webinars, I'll put the link in the chat. And then we also have our cohort program, our e-commerce and digital marketing cohort program. For this upcoming cohort, we're going to divide it into 2 tracks. One will be e-commerce and one will be digital marketing. And some topics for the e-commerce would be like strategy, user experience, branding, analytics, photography, and reputation management. And then our digital marketing track will cover more topics like email marketing, social media, customer segmentation, sales funnels, and also analytics. And the classes will all be taught by local industry experts. And our next cohort is likely going to start early next year. So you can email me if you're interested in participating, and I'll put my email in the chat as well. And so right now, the discussions I've been having to answer the question are mostly with the high school level, but we do have our contacts with the community colleges as well. And I'm not sure the question about funding with DBED.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, thanks, Nicole. But just, sticking to the topic of e-commerce, it's a great program. And, there's, we've had a lot of great feedback from a lot of our manufacturers that were in the first 2 cohorts, taking training on how to improve their website. It's a really in-depth, hands-on type curriculum. So highly encourage anybody that is looking for maybe some help on trying to boost their social media or trying to boost their e-commerce sales. It's a great, curriculum. And I think, again, a lot of people really enjoyed and took away a lot of great information. On the workforce, just to, add, there's not currently any funds, and it does, William, to your question about DBED, I don't think, and Mark can maybe talk about it, but we don't have any funds currently for training programs, but we are trying to see, we were able to get some funds for neighbor islands to go through the program that Nicole talked about, which is the Tooling U online manufacturing curriculum. So if you're on Kauai, Maui, or the island of Hawaii and is interested in utilizing, this program and getting some folks trained, maybe possibly in the high school, well, not possibly, in the high school, high school students, and you're looking to maybe hire them, this program does really provide some certification skills that you probably need as a manufacturer. So hit us up on that because, again, there's extra efforts for our neighbor island communities to help with the shortage of workforce in manufacturing. So please let us know, how we can help you on that.
I might suggest there that you have some kind of meeting with the community college educators on developing these kind of programs or these manpower need programs. I know that they're always looking for something, and I'm pretty sure that they'd be open to having a get together to sit down and really talk about what can be done in terms of training people at that level.
Yeah, great suggestion, William. And I'm gonna maybe ask for some help. I mean, if you know people, and part of our challenge right now is just because of the pandemic, is trying to reach out to the right people at the community college level. So, again, and we're trying to leverage our programs to help you, but if you can help us maybe make some introductions to some key folks, at the community college or even at the high school levels, we'd be more than appreciative if you could help us and make some connections so that we can reach out and share these programs. Because to be very honest, that's part of our challenge is, finding the right people that run these programs for students in community colleges so that we can connect them with manufacturers. So Yeah, thank you for that, William. And again, if you can,
I'll look into that and to see what names I can come up with. I'll send you some information on that.
yeah, if you can send it to Nicole, maybe Nicole, you can throw your email on there. But yeah, any help we can do in this area, connecting with high schools, connecting with after school, high school programs that may be interested in trying to get some tooling you experience and certification so that you can hire them. Let us know, man, because that's kind of what we're looking for. So thank you for that. All right. So at this time, but this is very important, and hearing your feedback is really important. But at this time, I'd like to introduce our Mark Ritchie. He's a division chief at DBED, and he'll be talking about a CBED program. And for many of you, I think you kind of know about our HCDC MAP grant, our Manufacturing Assistance Program grant. And unfortunately, due to the pandemic, our legislators were not able to allocate funds this year for the MAP grant. So we don't have one. We're hoping, crossing our fingers, that next legislative session, legislators will continue to support the MAP program so that we can offer that to you for, whatever expansion or whatever equipment purchase you folks are planning on doing. But the next best thing right now that we would like to offer, and Mark's going to talk about, is the CBED loan program. And, it's not a grant, it's a loan program, but I'll leave it to Mark to explain the details. But so at this time, maybe I want to introduce Mark Ritchie, Division Chief at DBED. Mark, to you.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see if this works. Oops. There we go. Okay, can everyone see this okay? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. Great. Thank you, Wayne. And thank you to the Innovate Hawaii folks and all the manufacturers on this call. My name is Mark Ritchie. I'm a branch chief at DBED. Been here about 6 or 7 years, and we handle the kind of business support programs, particularly enterprise zones, which I don't know if some of you, since you're manufacturers, if you participated in that program, which in exchange for job creation, you get some tax breaks. And then the other program we handle is our CBED program, which is the Community-Based Economic Development Program. And this program was established in the early 1990s by the legislature. And sort of a definition of community-based economic development is economic development, kind of from the ground up. And what that means is trying to assist with business growth, business startup, business growth in different communities in Hawaii. And a community can be defined as a demographic community, or a community of interest, an ethnic community. It can be a lot of definitions for what that means, but we're trying to support businesses that actually support their communities. And what that means is really creating jobs, maybe sourcing inputs from the local community, ties to the local community. So by statute, our CBED program, we can do 3 things. We have some grants, although we don't do that much of that, but it's very, very specific, and we don't have a lot of money for that. We have a revolving loan fund, which is what I'm talking about today, and then we offer technical assistance. And we really try to bundle our technical assistance with our loan fund, because we want our companies to be successful. We currently have, it's actually more like about $1.5 million right now. So it's not a huge amount of money, but that is what we have now to lend. We've kind of delayed rolling this out a little bit just because there's so much PPP money, idle money, federal money working its way through the system that we're sort of trying to position this as kind of part of the recovery, as businesses start to expand again, need new equipment, need, facility renovations and things like that. So the CBID loan program, the statute's very broad, and part of that $1.5 million that we're using, part of it comes from federal funds, which is EDA money, Economic Development Administration, which is in the U.S. Department of Commerce, and they have specific funds that we are successful in getting for our revolving loan fund program. So we've tried to be very specific, though, in the types of businesses that we really want to encourage and help grow in Hawaii. And so we have a focus on sort of expanding businesses in agriculture and then kind of value-added agriculture processing, such as food and things, and then also manufacturing. And that's why this audience, Innovate Hawaii, is really important to us, because we want to try to support the Innovate Hawaii program and manufacturing in Hawaii. Our loans usually can range from about $50,000 to $100,000. By statute, we can actually do up to $250,000. And if we had a larger fund, we could actually go up that high. Right now, we try to keep it at 100 or 120 at the top range, just because we only have so much money to deploy right now. Interest rates are basically 3%, and we've sort of kept it at that. That's by statute. It can be 3 up to 6%, but we're keeping it at 3%, and we can go out to a 10-year term at the outer end. And this is the really important part. We already have a lot of co-lending participation arrangements with other lending organizations. Prior to getting this, influx of money from the EDA, we were doing almost all of our loans in conjunction with the Hawaii State Department of Agriculture, their agricultural loan division. They would do kind of the underwriting and then our loan servicing, and we would usually go 50-50. So a typical loan that we would do with the Hawaii Department of Agriculture would be like, maybe we do 50, they do 50 for $100,000, to the borrower. And we also have an MOU with Feed the Hunger Foundation. We're also working with the Hawaii Community Reinvestment Corporation. And also we can work with CDFIs or credit unions or even banks if by CBID coming in and doing a participation loan, with the bank, it'd probably be in a subordinate position to the bank. If that actually can make the deal happen, we would be very interested in talking to your banks about that. So what are the eligibility requirements? Basically, you just have to be a registered business in the state of Hawaii. And this is the core of what the CBID program is about. Loans should result in some economic development outcome, such as new jobs, services, increase in business for local suppliers, product inputs, and bringing maybe a business to an economically challenged area, a rural area, or somewhere in a economically challenged area on Oahu, kind of in an urban area. And then we also have to have one commercial financial turn down, because we are not competing against the private banks. So I hate this term, but we're kind of considered lender of last resort. And if for some reason the numbers don't quite work out on the underwriting from a commercial lender, they sort of tell you that, or maybe credit scores aren't high enough, things like that. That's what we need. It's just that one letter to make you eligible for the CBID loan program. And then we're really, again, focusing on sort of expanding businesses, not startups, but expanding businesses. I've been in business for at least a couple of years, and in one of sort of our focused areas, which was agriculture, value-added ag manufacturing, such as food things, and manufacturing. Really want to support our manufacturing community in Hawaii. That's part of our mission. And so what can the loans be used for? Primarily, and this is all sort of statute driven, the loans can be used for working capital, construction or improvement of facilities, purchase of equipment, and this is per the MAP program that Wayne just mentioned. That's very important. And we could actually come in, if the MAP program, we could still do that grant program, we could still come in and help with the financing of equipment. And then you can also use it for payment of production and marketing expenses. There's some sort of things we can't use it for. We can't use it to help you refinance or pay off another loan because we're offering a lower interest rate. We're not allowed to do that by statute. So we're kind of doing a sort of refresh of this program. And as part of that, on our website, we have a sort of a seabed loan interest form. And that's for companies to tell us a little bit about themselves, in 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll tell them, get back to them fairly quickly, or are you really appropriate for a seabed loan? And if not, we'll try to steer you in the right direction of what might be a next step for what you're telling us. And then what that loan kind of interest form, what you're telling us about is, first of all, the date you're established. Again, we're sort of looking for somebody who's been in business a couple of years, has revenue. So we're not in a position to fund startups. That has to be another kind of program. And then sort of the type of business. And again, we're really interested in manufacturers, wholesalers, and then kind of agriculture companies. And then your sort of annual revenue, kind of the number of employees. And we're also very interested in, if you actually get a loan, this is a little bit later stage, but how many new employees would you be hiring? Because the EDA really tracks that. That's one of our metrics, is new employees. And then we would ask kind of the amount of the loan you're seeking. And again, sweet spot anywhere from 50,000 to 100,000. But if you put 200 or 250 or even 300, again, we have these co-lending partners, and we would sort of look if we could find a partner, to try to do this. And so that's kind of at the outer reaches. If somebody puts 250 or 300, seabed would not be able to do that on their own, but maybe one of our co-lending partners could come in to that. And then, the commercial turn down from a lender. And then what is the loan being used for? As discussed, you can use it for working capital, purchase of equipment, purchase, construction, or improvement of your facilities, and then payment of production and marketing expenses. And then last thing, kind of what you would use for collateral. We do try to have collateral for these loans. They're kind of professionally go through the underwriting process, and we are looking for collateral. On the one hand, by statute, we're supposed to be taking risks and getting out there and providing capital to where the commercial banks aren't able to, given their sort of underwriting rules. But on the other hand, we still do want to place our bets on helping companies to be successful, and so that we can repay into the revolving loan fund, so then we can reloan that out to other companies and things. We try to bundle our loan with a lot of technical assistance, and some of our partners, you're looking at them right here. Innovate Hawaii is one of them, but then also the small business development centers. And we're also looking at any other sort of specialized technical assistance that would be needed for a borrower. Because what we want to do is we want to help them be successful and catch if there's going to be some problems on cash flow and things, and kind of work with you so we don't have any defaults, because that's not in anybody's interest. And with that, here's our website. All of our information is there. And I'm happy to take any questions that any of the people in this session might have about this program.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, any questions from our attendees? It's a great program, and hopefully, our manufacturers can leverage this until we can get our MAP program. Maybe you could leverage both, right, Mark? You can do the MAP and the seabed.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Also, if you're looking at expanding, let's say, you already have your banker relationship, and let's say you're looking at a loan of a couple $100,000, and your banker kind of, because I think people's finances are going to be really interesting when they start looking at with all the PPP and EIDL and revenue and everything that's happened during this pandemic. Let's say your banker says, we could only do, from our underwriting, we could only do like half of what you want, or they give you a counter proposal, like, could you bring in another source of funding and things? Keep seabed in mind, because we could do a co-lending thing with the credit union, with the bank, with other CDFI.
Mark, could you put the website back up again?
Oh, okay. Whoops. Let me see. Let's see. Is it there now or not there? Whoops.
Yeah, it's in the chat, William. I think us one of our invest.hawaii.gov business.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
It's in the chat as well.
Okay. Good.
Awesome.
I was gonna stop sharing the screen. Oops.
Any other questions regarding the seabed program? Again, great program. Hey, Tom.
Yeah, Mark, just a quick one. Do you have the Kahala Center on the Big Island as a partner?
No, that's a great question. We've talked to them. They do much smaller. They do a lot of kind of smaller ones, but if they were to do something larger, we would love to work with them. They're kind of in a lot of our meetings. I know the Ulupono Initiative has put together sort of a micro lending hui that they're in, and so we've had actually a lot of conversations. We would like to do some things with them. Right now, I think their loans are kind of smaller that they do. It's more like 10,000. So we would use them as a resource partner, also as a referral to, like, if somebody fills out our interest form and it looks like Kahala Center might be the appropriate organization.
Well, they're primarily is the Kiva program, and then but they're doing up to 25,000.
Right.
Okay, I'll connect you. I'll just do that today.
Oh no, that would be great. I know Bowman and I forgot his first name. I'm sorry, I just lost it. But
it'll be Eric Bowman.
Yes, Eric Bowman. Eric, that's right. I know Eric. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Tom, maybe if you don't mind, if there's a link to that program at the North Kahala, if you can maybe throw it on for some of our, not too sure if anybody's from the Big Island, but that would be a great resource if there's a link to that program.
Yeah, I'll get it up, but know that obviously they're primarily ag,
right,
and value-added food.
Okay, got it.
Great.
All right. Anybody else? Again, great opportunity. No other questions for Mark? Again, Mark will have his email. Mark, maybe if you could throw your email in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Anybody, has, think about it. And if you think it's something that you could leverage, please email Mark. And sorry, you have the website up, but Mark, maybe a direct email to you would be great.
Oops, I was just gonna put my email in the chat there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, great.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And this program will be around for quite a while, so hopefully you keep it kind of in the back of your mind. There's lots of different funding sources out there, and just want to make a point. We're not really competing against everyone. We're trying to kind of have our kind of niche sort of area, and we do a lot of referrals and work with other lending organizations. So definitely sort of keep us in mind in the back, but we really, one of our really important things is we want to support manufacturers.
Right. Hey, Mark, I don't mean, if there's no program, no other questions, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I think another program that DBED does is the High Step program. For a lot of you, and I see, maybe, Becky and maybe Christy or other man, Dirk, maybe thinking about exporting. You mind doing maybe the 2-minute elevator pitch on High Step and some of the value? Because I think that's another great program that DBED does, and some of the things that maybe our manufacturers can leverage. So sorry for putting you on the spot.
No problem at all. I can do this. And in fact, kind of what we're trying to do with the seabed program too, the loan program, is sort of support our other programs. In other words, sort of manufacturers that are looking at exporting and they need to expand. Okay, we've got a seabed loan program for you, or enterprise zone companies that are doing things. So we try to make sure that we're not siloing our different programs. So the High Step program, it stands for the Hawaii State Trade Expansion Program. And that's funded by the SBA on a grant that we've received like 10 years in a row or whatever. And we've have like anywhere from like $500,000 up to $1 million in different years for the program. And what we've tried to do, working with partner organizations like Innovate Hawaii, Small Business Development Centers, Hawaii Pacific Export Council, is develop a comprehensive program that'll support our manufacturers from kind of the really early stages, small stage, all the way to more kind of advanced companies that are already doing some exporting. And so HighStep has 3 components. The first is training. It's called Export Readiness. And we offer a lot of webinars. It used to be in person at the Foreign Trade Zone. For neighbor islands, we had live video streaming. It's all sort of online now. So we're all doing it online, but there's a range of topics, everything from exporting to specific countries to more horizontal sessions on, logistics, payment, all sorts of things like that. We've been doing a lot on e-commerce now for exporting, looking at, how do you reach like a Japanese audience? I think Nicole is actually doing a session on Rakuten, and we're trying to support all of those efforts. Also, part of the export readiness component, we have an individual mentoring, and it doesn't cost any money at all. And you register with us on the DBED site. Just go to the HighStep program, you register with us, and then kind of depending on how you fill out the form, your revenue, what sector and things you're in, you will be assigned a mentor. And that could be somebody from Innovate Hawaii, could also be somebody from HPAC or Small Business Development Center, or the Patsy Mink Center for Business and Leadership. So that's the one thing, is just to get people trained up, understanding exporting, how to write, develop their business plan, so it includes exporting and what they're going to do and get all their questions answered and things. Then the second component is what we call Hawaii Pavilions, where we actually take trade show space overseas, or it could be an international show on the US mainland that has a lot of foreign buyers at. And the biggest trade show we do is the Tokyo International Gift Show. And there we have literally 70 companies that go into it, Hawaii companies that we take into it. We basically do all the build out, provide the space, and even we provide translators and all these support services for companies to go into a trade show like that and try to connect with potential buyers, distributors, buyers, etc. We do sort of a variety of trade shows. I think we do maybe 6 or 8 a year. And so those, it's sort of a nominal fee to sort of participate in those shows. So we heavily subsidize it, and you're going to save tons and tons of money if going with us in the Hawaii Pavilion, as opposed to trying to do it on your own as an individual company. The third component is what we call the HighStep General Company Assistance, or so financial assistance. That's a competitive process where you submit information about your company and you give us your export plan. What are you doing? And then there's an evaluation committee. It depends on how much money we have. So some years, every company that applies, or most companies that apply, will receive funding. Other years, it's been a lot more competitive and tighter. And the amounts have ranged in the past from $7,500 up to $10,000 or $15,000, per company. And what the evaluation committee really is looking at is your export plan. The things that it can be used for is taking out trade show space at a trade show, all the shipping. It could be used for all the airplane flights. It could be used for e-commerce things. If you're like setting up, let's say, a Japanese language website, it could pay for that. There's a lot of different things that it sort of pay for. We try to give preference to companies that are going into trade shows where we are not doing pavilions. So there's, so let's say you want to go into a trade show in Korea, we're not doing anything in Korea. That might be something, even though you are going into Tokyo International Gift Show or something. You can go into both. and you can use the individual company assistance to pay for some of your costs going into a Hawaii pavilion. But we're always interested in to see how much money the company actually how much skin they have in the game as well, with their export development plan. It's not like 100% sort of thing, although we don't have an official cost share, but we are looking for, the company to be taking as much risk as the state is. Our metrics on all of this stuff is to increase the value of Hawaii exports, increase the number of countries we're exporting to, and overall, the amount of revenue that's going to be coming into the state as a result of increasing these exports. And we have to do a lot of SBA reporting since it comes from a grant, and kind of gathering lots of statistics and things. But what we're really here ultimately to do is to help you grow your company and be successful exporters. I'm happy to take any questions on that too. Sort of, that was the fire hose 5 minutes.
Thanks, Mark, and sorry for putting you on the spot, but that's another great program that Mark administers at DBED. And I've seen a lot of companies take advantage of this high step program. And obviously Innovate Hawaii is part of that to provide training. But it's a great opportunity if you are trying to expand your outreach, either, trying to do trade shows or just making connection with buyers through trade shows. It's a great opportunity to get some funds for you to, again, go meet some of these distributors. Mark?
Take 1 minute, just because
Yep.
it's appropriate time. The LADER program is the Enterprise Zone program. If you go to invest.hawaii.gov/EZ, it has the GIS maps. If you're a manufacturer and you're starting to expand, let's say you're starting to add people, maybe we're coming out of the pandemic, you're starting to do some recovery, that's a great time to join the program, because in exchange for job creation, you can get tax credits, GET waivers, and all sorts of other kind of benefits that'll help you retain more of your money, your revenue, and not paying taxes to the state. So definitely look at that program. It's only for certain types of business activities, by statute, that's the terminology they use, but it's for manufacturers, wholesalers, ag, and then some miscellaneous categories of technology kind of based industries. It is not for retail companies.
Great. Another great program, especially for maybe some of our folks that are trying to maybe look for some, a different type of space. The Enterprise Zone is a great program. So yeah, I am pretty sure we took the majority of your lunch hour, 55 minutes, but if there's any last minute questions from Mark of any of the programs that he shared, now's your chance. Any questions? Okay, if not, Mark will put his email address in the chat box for you, or he already did. So please reach out to Mark, or please reach out to any of us on our Innovate Hawaii team. Dirk, to you, any final? Yes. Oh, you're on mute. Dirk, you're on mute. Sorry, we didn't hear your question.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I have a question. Do you foresee any grants coming for manufacturers for equipment purchases? Because that was a helpful thing in the past to utilize. And so we're about to kind of rethinking about investing into new equipment, and that would be a helpful.
Yes. So we have our fingers crossed that our legislators would reinstate that program next year. Legislative session starts somewhere early part of next year, maybe February, March. And we will do a call out to action, and Dirk asked for support letters from manufacturers that received MAP grants before, that we can send to the legislators to say, with the state support through this MAP program, we were able to purchase equipment, expand our employee portfolio by expand our sales and exporting. So fingers crossed. We will ask for testimonies again and support letters. So at that time, we will do the call to action. We have our fingers crossed that we can get something back.
Okay,
next-
that would be then for next year starting, or also for equipment retroactively to 2021?
So normally, and maybe I'm gonna look for maybe Wayne Ligon, it's usually, what do we do, 2 years back, Wayne Ligon?
Okay, now that's what I recall, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
All right, any last minute questions? We got 3 minutes on the clock. No? Christy, I see you on mute. Any questions, Christy?
Yeah, quick question. You
Yep.
guys have these meetings once a month? This is my first time, so I was just curious.
we try to.
Okay.
To be,
Yeah, this
to be
is
very
great.
honest, we try to. But let us know. We will do our blast to invite everybody, and we encourage you to send us an emails on topics on what you would like to get, and we have guest speakers. We also have our partners from the University of Hawaii Office of Innovation and Commercialization on board, Sandra Fujiyama. So, again, we have our partners, and if there's any topics that you would like us to do a deeper dive into, we're more than happy to moderate that for you. So thank you for that, Christy. But if not, there.
No, I was just saying goodbye.
Oh, okay. Christy, did you have anything else to add?
No, this is great. Thank you so much.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for joining. Appreciate everybody spending your lunch hour. Just want to say, hey, everybody stay safe. Again, we're getting into a difficult time. So just wanted to make sure that, we do our best to keep everybody safe, and thank you for joining. So aloha and take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.